starring, amongst others, Dylan O'Brien, Michael Keaton, Sana Lathan and Taylor Kitsch, directed by Michael Quester, off of a script by... it always surprises me how many people are in charge of one screenplay. So this has got 4. Stephen Schiff, Michael Finch, Edward Zwick and Marshall Herskovitz. Based off the book American Assassin by Vince Flynn, this is my review for American Assassin.
He's ready, Stan.
He's not ready. He will be.
American Assassin follows the story of Mitch Rapp, who loses his fiancée about a minute and a half after being engaged to her due to a terrorist attack on a beach. He then becomes embroiled with the CIA and is recruited to be part of a team of assassins who their job is to assassinate terrorists. So let's start with the good. Michael Keaton is Michael Keaton, so he's great. He's predictably good. He seems to be having fun in the role, which, despite the subject matter, he seems to be enjoying himself and he gets to do some really fun stuff. He's about the only one. I mean, Dylan O'Brien's fine. He's there. He's not bad in this. He's not particularly great either. He sort of seems like he's coasting through the movie, but I don't necessarily think that's his fault. I think that's because the script here is not particularly that great. Taylor Kitsch is another one. I love Taylor Kitsch. I think he's a great actor. Anybody who hasn't seen Friday Night Lights, please go and watch it. And he deserves better than the kind of roles he gets here. He's the villain of the piece, and he, much like Dylan O'Brien, he's fine. Again, it's difficult to say too much about this movie because it doesn't really provoke much of a response. As I say, the cast do fine, but the real problem here lies with the script. For the first, I think, 30 to 40 minutes of this, I was having a good time with it. I didn't like the beach opening, and I'll explain that a little bit more in a moment, but the characters meeting, Dylan O'Brien's character meeting Michael Keaton's, worked well, and the training on that side of things it seemed a little bit overdone, but it was fun. I was enjoying myself, and then not so much. After, I think it is about the first 45 minutes, the film goes rapidly downhill. The last action sequence of the movie is probably the best one. It's one of the only ones that feels like there's any kind of tension or stakes, but it's a little bit too little too late by that point. American Assassin is just so formulaic. It doesn't bring anything new to the table whatsoever. It just sort of meanders along, and I think its worst crime, to be honest, is that it's pretty boring. There's numerous action sequences in this. There's numerous fights and stunts, but hardly any of them are done in any kind of stylistic way. They're all just extremely bland, and as a result, the movie itself can't help but feel bland in comparison to it. Now, about that beach opening. I understand that this was based on a book. I haven't read it, so I don't know how closely it follows the source material, but to be perfectly honest, I don't think, with the way the world is at the moment, and with how recently there was a terrorist attack on a beach, it was a particularly great idea to have that thrown in at the very start of this movie. Yeah, that opening sequence is tense, it puts you on edge, but not because of anything that the filmmakers are doing. The action in that scene's not particularly great, the acting's not particularly great either, it's not exactly a stylistic sequence, it's just that it evokes real responses from you because we've seen something very, very similar to this on the news. In fact, it's almost identical, just in a different place. If American Assassin was going to use that and try and tell a more coherent story or thoughtful story or just something to make us think afterwards, then using that kind of situation to start the film would make a little bit more sense. But instead, it's just a generic action movie. It doesn't focus on the terrorists that killed his fiancée, barely at all. Instead, it's about an American guy and a former Navy SEAL man who's stolen some plutonium and a nuclear device, and he's trying to steal a physicist, and he's trying to make a nuclear bomb, and they have to stop him. That's it. That's the plot of this, and it's a plot that we've seen time and time again, and it's a plot we've seen done better. In fact, I've seen some B-movies that have done it better than this, some straight-to-DVD movies, I should say, that have been a lot more entertaining than this has. There's a lot out at the moment. I've seen, I think, about 8 films at the cinema in the last 2 weeks, so there's a lot going on. American Assassin, if you've seen everything else, yeah, go check it out, but I wouldn't be in a rush. I wouldn't even be in a rush to buy it when it comes out. It's not overly worth your time. It's not that it's an awful movie. There were parts of it I enjoyed, and as I say, apart from the opening sequence, the first 40 minutes or so were pretty good. The last 10 minutes, apart from the awful last scene that I won't mention here, were pretty entertaining. Everything in the middle, though, there were times where I was thinking how long is left, and it's not a particularly long movie either, so don't rush to see it. I'm going to give American Assassin a 5 out of 10. My plan was to do the review for Mother first, because I watched that before American Assassin, but I still don't know what I think of that movie yet, so that review will be coming likely tomorrow or Sunday. But yeah, very interesting film. I just don't know what I think of it, so I did this first. If you've seen American Assassin, let me know in the comments what you think of it. Did you agree with me? Did you really like it? Be very interested to know, and it'd be great to talk to you about it. Hit like, hit subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.